pleasure to present to you Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr.
I am happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation.
Good afternoon. I'm Joan Walls. I'm the assistant to the city manager for community relations for the city of Champaign, and I am absolutely delighted to see each and every one of you here this afternoon as we celebrate and pay tribute, honor a remarkable man, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. This year's theme is transforming our communities through peace and justice. Dr. King stood for many things. He stood for love. He stood for human rights. He stood for civil rights. He stood for peace. He stood for justice. Today, we will not only celebrate and pay tribute to the life and legacy of Dr. King, but we will also take time to honor and pay tribute to individuals in our community who are doing great works for the good of people. Dr. King once said, if you want to say that I was a drum major, say that I was a drum major for justice. Say that I was a drum major for peace. Say that I was a drum major for righteousness. As each of you sit today, as you enjoy the program, I ask that you think about how you could be a resource to your own community. If you were a drum major, would you stand for peace? Would you stand for justice? What would you stand for to make the cities of Champaign-Urbana and Champaign County a better place to be? And so today, I welcome you on behalf of the 2008 MLK Committee, on behalf of the city of Champaign, the city of Urbana, and Champaign County. We welcome you, and we thank you. We ask that you sit back, relax, and enjoy the program that we've put together to pay tribute and honor a wonderful man.
Thank you, Joan. Good afternoon. I'm Todd Brent with the Urbana Human Relations Office. Today I have the particular pleasure of being able to introduce our Master of Ceremony, Tony Clements. Tony Clements received his bachelor's and master's degrees from the University of Illinois, where he was a member of both the basketball and football teams. Upon graduation, he joined the staff of the Division of Campus Recreation at the University of Illinois and was later promoted to Director of the Division, which is the position he currently holds. In 2002, Tony won the Chancellor's Academic Professional Excellence Award in acknowledgement of his administrative performance on behalf of the University of Illinois. 2003, Tony was named the recipient of the Monsignor Edward J. Duncan Service Award. This is an award that is presented annually to the University of Illinois, to a University of Illinois football letterman who has displayed exemplary integrity and dedication to his community, state, country, and church through public service and citizenship. In addition to his professional career, Mr. Clements takes pleasure in performing stand-up comedy. He has performed at schools and nightclubs throughout the country. He has performed with comedian Sinbad, emceed shows with Stevie Wonder and with Aretha Franklin, and has been the opening act for Jerry Butler and Ray Charles. In 1998, Tony was asked to be a warm-up act when President Clinton and Vice President Gore visited the University of Illinois. Please join me in giving a warm reception to Mr. Tony Clements.
Thank you so much. As you would expect, I'm humbled, excited, thrilled to be here. When I got the call about doing this, I hurried up to my computer, typed out some opening remarks, about 12 or 15 minutes of them, rehearsed them for 2 or 3 days. Then Joan told me that she needed to edit any remarks I was going to make, so I sent them over to her, and she got them back to me this afternoon. And as I look through them, I'm now concluding my opening remarks. And that's okay. Because we got a lot of great people to hear from, and any time we can get together like this and celebrate, I will stand aside if necessary. To open our program, I'd like to ask Reverend Claude Shelby to please come up, and he will offer us the invocation. Reverend Shelby.
Will you stand with me? O God of heaven, God of earth, God of sky, God of sea, God of our fathers, we offer to you our thanks as we come together, dear Lord, to honor one who has stood the test, one who has paid the ultimate price, that we might experience a measure of freedom and justice. We pray thy blessings upon our proceedings here today. Bless the sponsors. Bless those who will be receiving awards. And we pray that you would help us all, that we might know your will and know your way and walk therein. And may we so live our lives that we will always understand the fatherhood of God and the brotherhood of all humankind. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. It's on occasions like this that it's always amazing how much we have in common. Today we have two groups with us, the Boy Scout Troop 402 and the Champaign High School Drumline, which sort of intersect with part of my life. I was a Boy Scout once for about a week and a half. And I actually never played the drums. So it was just the other one thing that crossed. Right. But we have them here today, and I want to introduce them to you. The Boy Scouts will be presenting the colors, and they'll be assisted by the drummer.
Scouts, attention. Color guard forward march. Color guard halt. Scouts post the colors. Salute. Pledge of allegiance on three. 1, 2, 3. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Scouts dismissed.
got news from that was going on. You know, you can hardly think about Martin Luther King and not think about his I've Got a Dream speech, which is ironic because I had a dream fulfilled just about an hour ago when a lady mistaken me for Denzel Washington. So, that makes a believer out of all of us. That can happen, you know, what should I do? I'd like to bring up right now for a joint proclamation from the city of Champaign, Michael Ledoux, Laurel Pressing from the city of Urbana, and Pius Weibo from Champaign County Board Chair. And I can tell that Laura's not one of them. So, oh, there she is. All right.
Proclamation. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., born in Atlanta, Georgia, attended Morehouse College in Atlanta and Crozer Theological Seminary in Pennsylvania, and was a student thereafter at Harvard and the University of Pennsylvania. Who, following his studies, became a spiritual leader of his church. And whereas Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., as a spiritual leader not only of his own congregation, but of millions throughout the world, espoused the philosophy of nonviolence to all mankind, and in recognition of his teachings was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. And
whereas Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. devoted his life to the advancement of civil rights and public service, recognizing that greatness can be achieved through the service of his or her fellow man, and whereas Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. encouraged all Americans to serve their neighbors and work together to unite their communities in his dream of peace and brotherhood.
And whereas the citizens of Champaign, Urbana, and Champaign County shall honor his legacy each year with a day of remembrance in January that focuses on bringing people of diverse backgrounds together in an effort to break down the barriers that divide our state and nation. And whereas the 7th annual countywide celebration is a collaborative effort to commemorate the life and teaching of Dr. King, aids in promoting intergovernmental cooperation in Champaign County. Now therefore, we, Gerald Schweihart, Mayor of the City of Champaign, C. Pius Weibel, Chair of the Champaign County Board, and Laurel Lund Pressing, Mayor of the City of Urbana, do hereby proclaim Friday, January 18th, 2008, as a day in honor of the legacy of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., transforming our communities through peace and justice.
Thank you. Now, I know what you're thinking. How could somebody mistake you as Denzel Washington? I think you've heard this before, but this actually happens often to me. And if you think about it, we are very similar. He's African American and I'm African American. He's right-handed and I'm right-handed. He's over 50 and I'm a little more over 50. Over the years, he's put on a little weight and I've put on a little more weight. He has 2 Oscars. I know 2 guys named Oscar. He makes $20 million a film, and I'm African American. So, I want to clarify that. Okay, I see now. I'm going to ask representatives of the City of Champaign, Urbana, and Champaign County to come forward, and we're going to provide some people with some awards. Right here.
If Deputy Mayor Michael Ledoux and our HR Human Relations Commissioner Chair Mark Aber will please step forward. Thank you again. I'm Joan Walls with the City of Champaign. And each year the City of Champaign presents 2 awards, the Drum Major Award and the Susan Freiberg Award. And these awards recognize individuals and organizations for their contributions in the area of human and civil rights and also humanitarian work. Our first award recipient is Mr. David Gillen.
It's truly an honor to receive such a prestigious award. I'd like to thank those that thought enough of me to nominate me for this award and to work for such a caring organization that believes in giving back to the community. Through all of the things that we do together, we can strive to improve our neighborhoods. Thank you.
Our next recipient is an organization. The Restoration Urban Ministries will receive the Susan Freiberg Award, and the executive director is Reverend Irvin Williams.
Good evening. My name is Irvin Williams. I'm the executive director of Restoration Urban Ministries. And on behalf of the board of Restoration Urban Ministries, its staff, volunteers, and the many people that we serve within our community, I wish to extend our deepest appreciation for this distinguished award that we have received tonight. We thank you very much, and we thank you for your support and confidence that we will continue to serve the people that we believe we've been called to serve. Thank you again.
Hello, this is Todd Wren again with the City of Urbana. Could I please ask Mayor Pressing and Vice Chair of our Human Relations Commission, Daniel Larson, to join me here on the podium, at the podium. We will be presenting Urbana's Outstanding Achievement Awards. The first recipient is an organization. It is the Champaign-Urbana Tenants Union.
I am honored to accept this award on behalf of the Champaign-Urbana Tenant Union. Many residents in our community face barriers in establishing and maintaining fair housing. Sometimes these barriers can seem insurmountable and can cause a great deal of stress to tenants. It is always rewarding to be able to guide tenants and assist them in overcoming these obstacles. Although we work hard advocating for tenants, we are still a long way from our goal, that all community residents from all walks of life enjoy the security of long-term, safe housing. We at the Tenant Union thank you for this recognition of our service, and we look forward to your continued support for our efforts.
Our second recipient is an individual, and I can tell you right now she's a little nervous, so I'm sure we're all pulling for you. Her name is Florence Uri. She's done tremendous work with the Catholic Workers.
Hi, my name is Florence. Originally I'm from Africa, and I want to thank the city of Urbana that giving me this award. And I want to thank my good friend Andy Lewis that put the word art Well, I'm so happy to get this award because I'm going back home to open the Catholic Workers' House. And this award going to mean a lot, just putting it in the living room and explain to people what is the meaning of, this award. And a lot of them don't understand. So kind of explain to them, and that will make a big difference in the Catholic Workers' House in Nigeria. So I am so glad, I'm so happy to get this award from the bottom of my heart. And I give thanks to God, and I thank the Catholic Workers' House that give me the opportunity to volunteer with them for some years and getting this award. And now mostly I'm going back home to open the Catholic Workers' House. It's going to mean a lot to me. And I will just thank Andy Lewis once more that just put the word out for me. It's a great thing that he really do for me. I didn't expect that. So Andy, I love you. Thank you for all the good thing you're doing for me. Remain blessed.
Since 2002, the Champaign County Board has given out 2 awards at the Martin Luther King Jr. celebration. The first award is the James R. Burgess Senior Humanitarian Award to Marilyn Denise Garman-Starks, to be accepted by Michael Starks.
Hello, how you doing? My name is Michael Starks. And of course, Marilyn Garman-Starks was my wife. We've only been married about a year, been together about 3 years. And in that 3 years, I can say that she was the best thing that ever happened to me in my life. And that's something I always remember. And the award that she's winning today, trust me, there's nobody else that deserves it more than she does, because she's done a lot for this community. She's done a lot for people in general, especially African Americans, because she really felt that deep in her heart. And she would always try to help people whenever she could. I mean, in the 3 years that I've known her, I've never known a more passionate, more experienced, more professional, hard-working woman in my life. And I've just been blessed and fortunate enough to be married to her for this short time. And yes, I still miss her, and I wish she was still here. But I know her spirit will never be forgotten, and she will always be here in spirit. And also, I just wanted to say that I'm trying to do the best I can to hold on, because it's been rough. And it's been difficult these last 6 or 7 months without her, because not only has she helped her community and her people, but she's also helped me a great deal in my life, because I was having a lot of problems and confusion in my life, and she helped me to basically see what kind of person I could be. And I just wish that everyone that remembers her, I just want them to know that she'll always be missed in this community. And for anyone that's looking at this, I just want to say that I appreciate the city of Urbana for taking the time for me to do this presentation. And this means a lot for me, and I'm trying to keep myself together and keep myself composed. But like I said, this has been a difficult time for me, and it's still difficult, but I take each day one day at a time. And I really miss her. I really wish she was still here, because her presence will always be missed. So to my wife, Marilyn Garman-Starks, I just want to say I love you always. And maybe soon one day I'll be in the place that you are. And thank you very much.
second award is the Doris Hoskins Prestigious Community Service Award. This year's winner is William Swift.
I feel honored and blessed beyond measures that I've been chosen to be the recipient of the Doris Hoskins Award. My lifelong goal is to do unto others as I would have them do unto me. The songwriter said that if I can help somebody as I travel along, my living shall not be in vain. I'd like to thank everyone involved in this process for allowing me to feel that I'm on the right track. Thank you very much.
It's always kind of amazing to me that the people who do so much good in our community are so humble and they're honored. That's nice to see. Florence, I loved your tears of joy. Unlike my tears when Joyce edited my opening remarks, but that's just right. Look, that's too much about me, I know. No celebration would be anything without good music. And as we're about to set up, no, I'm not going to sing. I don't know how to applaud. I just take it as a gift. I used to do some singing, but yeah, one complaint I had was I sung a song one time like in an audition, and they said, well, the good news was you hit every note. The bad news was you did it in no particular order. So, are we ready to go over there? All right. Now, you know what you got in store. Let me mention the name, Ollie Watts Davis. Oh, yeah. Ollie Watts Davis. You know what follows that. The University of Illinois Black Chorus. Let's go.
Have you got good religion? Have you got good religion? Have you got good religion? Lord, certainly, 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 Lord. Have you been converted? Have you been converted? Have you been converted? Certainly, Lord, certainly, 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 Lord. Have you been to the water? Certainly not. Have you been to the water? Certainly not. Have you been to the water? Certainly, Lord. Certainly, 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 Lord. Have you been baptized? Have you been baptized? Have you been baptized? Certainly, Lord. Certainly, 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 Lord. Have you got good religion? Certainly, Lord. Certainly, Lord.
University of Illinois Black Chorus, ladies and gentlemen. Great job. Wow. It's amazing what confidence you have in your gestures when you can actually sing. I can do those gestures, but I have to be mouthing the words to do it. I can't sing and do that. One scary experience was I was in grade school. I was actually in the choir. I think it was a forced thing. I don't think I really want to be in it. And one day our section was rehearsing, and in the middle of rehearsal, the teacher stopped it and said, "Someone's hitting a bad note." And if you knew me as a kid, you'd understand how I did this. I volunteered to move around and see who was hitting the bad note while singing. And I did that for about 30 seconds, and the teacher stopped and said, "Tony, I think the bad note is moving around." We've got a special guest with us here today, our keynote speaker. She'll be using the time that I wasn't allowed to use. I don't want to keep bringing that up. Joyce E. Tucker is the Vice President of Global Diversity and Employee Rights for the Boeing Company. They make the big jets. A native of Illinois, a graduate of the University of Illinois. She got a doctorate in law from John Marshall Law School and is a member of the Illinois Bar, which means that if I mess this up, too bad, I'll be in trouble. Ms. Tucker is a nationally recognized expert with more than 28 years of experience on equal employment opportunity and affirmative action issues in both the public and private sectors. Former President George H. Bush appointed Ms. Tucker as Commissioner of the United States Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, where she served from 1990 to 1996. In 2001, Ms. Tucker was appointed by President George W. Bush to serve on the White House Initiative Advisory Board of Historical Black Colleges and Universities. She currently serves on the boards of directors for the National Conference for Community and Justice, Chicago and Northern Illinois region, and the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boys and Girls Club of Chicago. Applaud, if you will, for Ms. Joyce E. Tucker.
Thank you, Tony. You are not in trouble. In fact, I'm really enjoying your emceeing. I am very, very, very pleased to be here with all of you this afternoon. And I have to thank Joan and Jackie for inviting me on behalf of the city of Champaign, the city of Urbana, and the county of Champaign to this extraordinary celebration of the lives and works of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And I want to commend all of you award winners for the work that you tirelessly do, not seeking awards or not seeking accolades, but merely to do good. And sometimes it's good to be publicly recognized for the work that you do. So give them another round of applause. And wasn't that choir awesome? They absolutely sent chills down my spine. And it is so wonderful to know that the University of Illinois has a black choir. I'll talk about my experience at the University of Illinois, and I think, Tony, we were down there at the same time.
Yes, we were.
But I do recall that you were older than me. So when we come together as a rainbow coalition of people, just look around this room. I want you all to take the opportunity to look around this room and look at your neighbors. And you will see on the outside people of different genders, races. On the inside, people who bring together different perspectives and experiences that make us the unique individuals that we are. And when we come together as a group like this, There is no problem insurmountable and no issue that we can't solve. So give yourselves a round of applause. Now, Tony mentioned that I am Vice President of Global Diversity and Employee Rights for the Boeing Company. Boeing is not an airline. People often say, well, you're the airline people. No, we are the people that make the planes that the airline buys. We also make satellites, and we make military equipment, and we make various other products that if I tell you, it would be a problem. But I'd like to share a story about my 6-year-old grandniece that was trying to explain to her 6-year-old buddy what it was that her Auntie Joyce did. She visits me every summer, and she went to my sister's job, and my sister is a vice president of Harris Bank. And she said, the 6-year-olds are talking now. She says, I went to Chicago to visit my aunties. And my auntie Yasmin, she's a banker. And I went to the bank and I saw the people that she worked with. And my auntie Joycey, she works for the Boeing Company. I think she's a bowler. I'm going to have to take that child to my job. When I think of Dr. King and I think of his life and his works, I am very pleased that we live in an America that is really different from the America of Dr. King's era. And it has been said that those who forget the past are doomed to repeat it. So I think it's very important for me to share with you the America of King's era. And I want to recommend to all of you that you talk to your children, you talk to your neighbor's children. If you're a teacher, you share the history of African Americans in America with your students. Because many times when I'm talking to children, they don't know anything about our past. And they take our present for granted. And they really should be really appreciative of all the advantages that we have a right to, but I think they should appreciate what it took to create this American society that we're living in today. The America of King's days were ones where blacks fought bravely on foreign soil and rode on the back of the bus here. The America of King's days were one where legally and government-sanctioned discrimination and segregation was supported and strictly enforced by government, by the courts, and shamefully by many churches. Where separate and equal was the law of the land. In King's America, blacks were denied the right to vote, relegated to separate and unequal schools, restrooms, water fountains, parks, hotels, libraries, restaurants, theaters, and even cemeteries. This was a time where not only could the living not sit together, but the dead could not be buried together 6 feet under the ground. Living as I did in the North, my experiences weren't exactly the same as my friends in the South, but I too remember King's America. And it is really meaningful to me that I'm here today with you in the city of Champaign talking about the life and works of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. In 1968, I was a student at the University of Illinois. On the evening of April 4th, 1968, I got a chilling call from my grandmother, which I would never forget. And I just happened to be in the dormitory when she called. And I picked up the phone, and she was crying. And she said, "He's dead. They killed him." And I didn't even need to ask her who the he was. I knew instinctively that it was Dr. King, because we were always afraid for him. We lived in fear for him. We felt in our heart that one day our leader would be taken from us. And she said, I knew it. I knew it. And I was devastated and I was frightened. I was devastated because King was the spark that ignited the civil rights movement. He was our moral compass. He was the individual that was able to get blacks and whites and men and women and students from across this nation rallying together and sacrificing their very lives so that African Americans in this country could be free. And as a kid, I would look at the television and I would see the dogs and I would see the hoses and I was mad. I wanted those people to fight back. I wondered why, if they got spit on, they didn't hit somebody over the head. I didn't understand, and it took a long time for me to understand that speaking truth to lie, peace to injustice, was what really made the difference. We could not have made the gains that we had otherwise. America had to be made to feel shame towards itself, and it had to be brought to its knees through peace and justice. And that's what King did. I was devastated because I felt that if he, our most powerful leader, could be killed, then those who oppose justice and freedom could kill anybody. And I was afraid that they would kill anybody because they killed King. I was frightened because I, like other students here, other black students here at the University of Illinois, represented 1% of the university's population. We were less than 300 in a total student population of 30,000. I was frightened because the response of many of the white students, not all, but too many, to King's death, told us that we had something to be frightened about. It was almost if a subliminal call went out to all the black students. And once we heard about King's death, we immediately started going towards the fraternities. And we wanted to sit down, we wanted to be together, and we wanted to talk about what we should do. And as we walked through the dark and dimly lit streets of the campus, we heard chuckles, we heard taunts, we heard people say to us, your king is dead, what are you gonna do now? And during that time, some of the favorite songs was Curtis Mayfield's song, We're a Winner, James Brown's song, Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud. They were songs that made black people feel good about each other. And yet those songs, the words of those songs were changed. And they were chanted at us, deriding us because our leader was dead. In fact, the hostility was so pervasive that we decided that the best thing for we black students to do was to leave campus. And we all left. We packed our bags and we made a mass exodus to our homes because we were afraid and we were devastated. We felt that there would be no peace and no justice in our communities because our king was dead. And we went home, most of us lived in Chicago, and we watched on television 120 cities, including Chicago, burn. Angry rioters seemed to feel that since the leader of the nonviolent protests, a man of peace, was killed, then America should experience the righteous black anger and violence as an exclamation point to the news of our leader's assassination. There would be no peace. Our king was dead. Our king was dead, but what was very, very hopeful was that his dream did not die with him. As I told you before, you can just look around this room and that will tell you that the dream was not dead. The fact that so many years later, all of you people of goodwill have gathered here today to dedicate or rededicate yourselves to embracing diversity and leveraging the talents that each of us has says to me, and it should say to you, that the dream did not die. We should know that King did not live or die in vain. The fact that the laws upholding segregation and discrimination have been abolished tells us that he did not live or die in vain. And to get those laws abolished, it took a coalition of different races, different genders, different ethnicities coming together and demanding on behalf of all of us that in order for all of us to be free, nobody should be in bondage. The fact that most Americans truly believe in their hearts that we are more alike than we are different is a testimony to the fact that King's living and dying was not in vain, and that he truly was that drum major for freedom. And not only is he living through each of us, but King left us a blueprint for change. And I'm going to quote, writing from his cell in the Birmingham jail, King told us, and I say this to you, let us go out with a divine dissatisfaction. Let us be dissatisfied until America will no longer have a high blood pressure of creeds and an anemia of deeds. Let us be dissatisfied until the tragic walls that separate the outer city of wealth and comfort and the inner city of poverty and despair shall be crushed by the battering rams of the forces of justice. And let us be dissatisfied until those who live on the outskirts of hope are brought into the metropolis of daily security. Let us be dissatisfied until slums are cast into junk heaps of history and every family is living in a decent and sanitary home. Let us be dissatisfied until men and women, whatever their race and color, will be judged on the basis of the content of their character and not on the basis of the color of their skin. Inspired by these words, let us here be dissatisfied until we personally make, renew, or rekindle our commitment to an open and equal American society, starting with the communities that we live in. Make it a point of eliminating your personal bias. Make it a point of not prejudging people because they look different from you. Make it a point of instilling the values of understanding and embracing differences in your children. I think we sometimes take it for granted that kids are going to just absorb goodness and understanding by observation and osmosis. They may. I think kids are taught how to discriminate, but think how much more effective it would be if you talked to them, if you gave them the experience of interacting with children who do not look like him. Again, I want my message to be one of encouragement because we have come a long way in this country, starting with the University of Illinois. I think we have a much larger representation than 1%. But my call of action for all of us here is for us to make our commitment and turn that commitment into words and actions, and to do it today. Because yesterday is a canceled check, tomorrow is a promissory note, today, my friends, is all the cash we have. Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce, and thanks for not suing me. And, I actually, Joan and Todd have told me that my portion is over. It ended right after that white horse mistake. So, and I understand. You know, I'm a big boy. I can handle it. I just want to say before I bring them back up to close it out that on a personal note, you know, I think many of you know I grew up in Raleigh, North Carolina, so I often feel I was on the front lines of the battle. Many of the cities in the South are actually identified about the struggles and the opportunities, the fight led by Martin Luther King. The battleground had names like Birmingham and Montgomery and Little Rock and Meridian, Atlanta, Jackson, Chicago, and Detroit. Today, in virtually every city, there's some form of King Street or King Avenue. But most importantly, and I think what you've seen today with the people who were honored, that the battlefield now exists in the hearts and souls of people. And it goes on every day. He may have got it started, but we're here to keep it going. And I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. Applaud once again all the people who won awards. And this time, I'm going to turn it over to Todd and Joe.
Thank you. It is absolutely wonderful to see everyone here this evening. And to Mr. Clemens, he's almost correct. I did not actually give him his script back. I just politely asked nicely if he would keep things moving, just out of respect of everyone's schedule. So he told just a little bit of the truth, but thank you so much. He did a wonderful job. At this time, I would like to ask Joyce if she would come back, please. We just want to thank you. Jackie and I were at a conference back in the fall in Atlanta where Joyce was also presenting there, and she's been very involved in the human rights field for many, many years, and just really is inspiration to individuals who come in, such as myself. She re-energizes me, and every time we go to those conferences, we do get re-energized. And whenever we have programs such as this, when we all come together, it's just a constant reminder of the work that we have yet to do as a community. So on behalf of the Martin Luther King Committee, the cities of Champaign, Urbana, and the Champaign County Board, we would like to present Ms. Tucker with an award. The 7th annual Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Countywide Celebration, presented to Joyce E. Tucker for her devotion and persistence in recognizing the importance of diversity and human rights, January 18, 2008. As we're wrapping up, I would like to once again congratulate our honored guests this evening. And although the cities and the county have been very involved with this program, this event would not be possible if it was not for our major sponsors. And we had one gold sponsor, and at this time, if there is a Representative Dave Strang from Busey Bank, if you could please come forward. For their many, many years of being the gold sponsor for this event. At this time, I'd also like to recognize our silver sponsors, Barham Benefit Group, Carl Foundation Hospital, Central Illinois Human Resources Group, the Champaign-Urbana Mass Transit District, McDonald's Corporation, Mental Health Center of Champaign County, and Parkland College. We thank our silver sponsors. And our bronze sponsor for this year's event was Warden Martin. And we would also like to thank the many contributors, all of you who were able to provide patrons for our book this year. And please take a moment to look at the booklets and you will be able to acknowledge those individuals as well. Thank you. We also would like to thank Vic Pella, Old Vic Gallery, and he donated the posters. And as you leave this evening, there's going to be a table in the lobby, and he graciously donated a poster for each of you to take out in tribute to Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So we thank Mr. Pella. And to the 2008 Martin Luther King Planning Committee, if you could please stand, members of that committee, if you could please stand. For working very hard to make this event a huge success. We had a phenomenal committee, as always, and it is work, and people work and come together weekly to pull some of these things together, and you worked hard, and I thank each of you for working with me. I also want to thank the community relations staff of the City of Champaign, and also last but certainly not least, I would like to thank each and every one of you for coming out and being a part of making this event a huge success this year. I thank you for your continuous commitment to the work that we do, and I would ask that you would join us. There's going to be a reception following this event. The doors will open, and following the benediction with Reverend Toddy Shelby, we ask that you would join us for the event. And again, we thank you for being here this evening.
Shall we now stand? Send us forth, dear God, to hearts that are weary, to those who stand in need of a hand up. Send us forth, dear Lord, that we might foster peace among all humankind, that we might all stand for liberty and justice for all. May the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.
Amen. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi, from every mountainside. Let freedom ring, and when this happens, when we allow freedom ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.